Net sedaki sedang aku ngakoisap sak tertib. Si koisap Mr. Donald Joseph itina oa. Inka gitu itamani mayin asin.
Kay gans kay karap tidak doch pamire. So ngagromi ese may ing asas nga tidak doch pa WhatsApp Donald Cassius Joseph. Saya khuda gratri ama ngayon ay khus ose. Saya khudui. So tidak ke assistant lecturer Khoekhoegowab aroma at the University of Namibia Southern Campus. Tidak ke ngastra Kowab ngamibe ha waraka hunding ere amsen sadida neba seitas di campus ibaga trio taniha. So ngalit ko dan ngubus doch pa ibe may ing asenre.
Kay karap tidak ke agromi se sakter sedituing anzakabe tams kingui o Frits Isaac tigi an Frits Isaac derkse ngunas disis khangna sakuri kare keni si kowabara khakha tidak ya kaunga au khabere ke khadi kowab di khwa aus china I tui kanin skol kungane terasisin ui kosa se tabis koli ein ngare ke tidak sina khwa au sin asang khuruchi ngai khwa an kan hawa sengadi tui kani de khwa tsede ke khari kaisame khwa tare sa ischina de bangi ke sperosa khura sagu kan khwan ui
Kan karap tidak dok mire tidak ke Ramonia Sorpoi as kurno sahu Nausa Mr. Disipting ng omdage neba University na mabiyop diba Southern Campus
Kira doch totore. Ting di ti haga discussion and tinka.
Okay, nida kung how odage sada Khoekhoegowab da on wa taus kharang wa ti mari da dikha sada kham khoi da akhase ti kowab ansa wa da akhase tare edani ti ip kowab ba khaba ui khaka sira geni ring wa
Diregi toch kahuse ting dire khabe. Ni da ko ngau expert kha. Tui ting ni ngawa tinemi taring aromata sada nama kuida. Sada kung si ko fa kha sin kau tamaha. Tamas ka yo ko da kau da ki school ku da ba da ko. Oike Khoekhoegowab para khwa ka sin kuina kaisin oro ngapa unha. Tikabi kalka sen kai bisina da kasio ni sizaige titrang insang wa toch Southern Campus ita pa kutui ko isina khwa ka sen ma of oro titanemi o tarirang aroma ni kwinda koyo wasin damas kayo tayo wasin ko ba kalka sen stika mio Mr. Madrang ay masha
So kay kan stins ngas aroma nausa tidak ko ing home he kemi saw good ma khabedang ngadi khun sina saw mai has au da kinemi kwets ke doch ba ami kha aroma di ke se aktobi ebituro se ko daga o ai kan di khara ha kausa ai kan di khara ha kaus si I turo se ke I kemi da net sestina sada kova barang hwada sada kova hon kweda sada Khoekhoegowab ngani sada ona khak khain se I ti skol kama se ida tidak sina khak kasa se ebituro se omstavastina sada den wan kha kova barang hwat ma isa si tagen nas khalka tam ese khadi sats tamas kayo sada kaida si kai khun ya omdinga han eng age hain tuna kova barang hwa sida ke sada wan karanama tamas kayo rang abang au si tagen khadi sada wan sina sada Africans tamas kayo Khoekhoegowab di medium tidanemi skol kuda vara khwaka sida ke sada kuda kova barang hwa so ngas kira mibada turo komsip ya hapke ada kons wa khire mabai kira chwatswa mabaha ke komsip ke khwaka tama istwana Khoekhoegowab skol kuda ba si twana Khoekhoegowab ba khrati sikam askose tani kharu si khakla sens ngas nga us ke kung chaba ho tsi khadin ing tuan chaba husnas ki kain ke basin sa kesi ama bes na tesa se nga aha dide kire skola ngang ai ba ho ni sis kosa daga troven ngo ostina tam in kherosia dani sau mais ke kotska o skol kutava eklo semina sax am skola don bosco tabatska CEO o dide ke skol kutava ngadi ra sarisi side ke kaunga on khadra sisen are khoi au hui wa daga CEO madira Khoekhoegowab covid nga sikta so ngabat stamus ke tuan ke am school go khada kan hwa when it comes to the primary schools the classrooms are so to say overcrowded when it comes to the Khoekhoegowab medium classroom and after grade 3 where they have to go to the transition grade which is grade 4 taking tare irasi hasa tuan mabanda I
Nek berarti dal ni di. O tahu teratai ning Khoekhoegowab.
Wan amsa ko baba.
Ja, ngai ke pop malitirami ngai opkiki ngai tiki miai emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Ngas ke sarat wani oakhi ngora da gini sarat ding aga. Si ne colonialisme ki ka ti hui sa hui ke kau tap hui di ngai da gini ngora. Se ikengati abang nisi ha. Komatsko Engelin houts ka ai. Komatsko Afrikaans houts ko ka ai. Ngadi kom ko ke ha. Cinke tuana kan kungas China. Nirami kami Engels na tam nama se ka userang hwa o. Afrikaans na rang hwa. Se ngai ke ngong ada kau. Munan ais tu saire ase chokomi ki unamiti kau ngau pha tuan ke Khoekhoegowab nan wan amsa se di chinau ngara khabusa siti o munan aire mathematics ka Khoekhoegowab nga ma ya nga twai mari ka dia chika history ba chika ha nau thak thang agu ka nama ko bab nga ma ya ma bai mari nga twai dia Frankrijk nga siri Engeli kai Khoekhoegowab nga ra university level ko se Russia nga si manghun nga si Khoekhoegowab nga ra di South Africa nga China uri Khoekhoegowab oorvat o die Afrikaans sprekendes toe hulle in power gekom het in South Africa het hulle die Afrikaans taal bevorder en kinders daar is die Randse Afrikaanse universiteit het so aan so as jy in jou taal kan beweeg daar sal jy definitief beter perform se kam kointini ngau aku ana ngora nog ba kolonialisme konuia si ne hui nuinga ai kiring urukun ga hui au ngadiram sing nasta koba ba hu asing net vir interessantheidshalwe idamere ek was 'n Afrikaans onderwyser Afrikaans het ek gekry kaka nie dink maar ek Khoekhoegowab kaka sien nie want maar dit Afrikaans. Chile gekry, sabit sana na Afrikaans na khwa. Ek was gelukkig om wyle Dr. Jan Spies te ontmoet. Sy plaas was net by die kant, outside of Wagenas. And I read a poem that I wrote in Afrikaans. En hy het gesê, dit klink so pragtig en dit so waar. Maar hoekom dan Afrikaans? Hoekom skryf jy nie in jou taal nie? Afrikaans is versadig. Daar is soveel mense wat Afrikaans boeke al geskryf het. En ek het dit gevat vandag. Ek het hoeveel bydrae gedoen. Khoekhoegowab die kan nie dinga. Skool ngara kakai dinga. Se Khoekhoegowab markike kam khoido oopsekoi. Decisions dike oopsekoi. Suid-Afrika pnaige uitkous as hy Disikurugu karewa se 3.4 miljoen koina koisan awan ua tira tangkai. Gas kerang ibasen ngabai ke kadin nama ko baba chochois kakai chochoas di khuna ai kungaru. Sike ngabai ni ama sabara gini ba 2.5 miljoen skusa na maybe ap kuna yang kira ngakuna 3.4 miljoen ni kan hoa. So ngabab kan nama ko baba chocho munen aire mari ko kai marka. Saradi wan amse ngabak kwa chichi kakasa kani satska khwao o kaka 100,000 kwinta ama hui kangai kanisa titske ngai kanis ko $300 tui kania 100,000 ikao otske ngadi ko kai marit karang hao se ngadi da munan ai ada tani sis ngai ada ais kan airi
Mr. Kurang Aruto. See, just to add on that, I believe or I think we are more Eurocentric than we are Afrocentric.
Yes.
Sada di kobab, sada di anak tau. Kaya sudah gengan ogap ho. Para kaya sada mir ufkaha.
The Western kapa.
We are more Eurocentric. Haru da gaska.
Ai ba da ke nisi aga khatsi mi kha ama. Nong a phian da nei khaba ko ke ko da gom ne okay hiyo de ke kharu ama. Ka u da ke asada tsina ke sada tsina oka I technology pasna da ke kovab thaning a. Environment din ngasna da ke kovab thaning a. Socialist na da ke kovab thaning a. So kham khon ge khai sa si harai ngai kan na mai tsimi bait ma ama. Ta ne thong ong khwen uring hogo nga khwen da di khona di tsare Khave ne ba in asna yogromi ama in the cultural zaman khasna da gran hwa culture ige transfers na rahin ka utsa kheme sa khwe u I khara tige miet ma khabitrane de bakna khaw toske ama kau hai bi si kham khona main si ai kasna da gine ko ching ai kasna anka sin gen ain sna ngas kwa kon ise khabe dinet nang anske kau ba ama chinga ho khuma be chinga khun o khus o se nga khoi noch pa kho kara hase ne sidang nida kemi nga western khunats ka di khabis sinats kini kovap nga hana oda ge nga chobisna da sada one na aikas sarak khai ka se madistina kore sida imbe hi kham khonje ke se Eurocentric ama kham khonje ke se ne aikas nga man ngasna dimeng in win nga hang aikas ke so they have to move the times sada khaba khoda ke sada ke se qisa sene ma ka inga ka ko kovap sing haw nga septika taning wan nga se I tikura je korong arok
Haru darase. Nesi daga ngobin ngo. My mistake. Anh agam ai tare kere di cover pa unis aroma. Aibo. Kabar agar tutu.
ja tasa things toro se ke hukan ning haun kajeng an are de mai no ai kunga naman gi turi namaseng anang chiki ning ko bai khning hwai kawi thai das gi tui khai I khabe de rami min ai kan tira kon commitment ai de ke to in ai o si ke cosa se kai tu ya khoi di ko ba khwas ngasa kere karinai cesara ma ciske kaupnan se ko kere float se Cape Dutch tira mi ko ba Holland ka ko ba kami ai bin khwa se khwasa ai kere hon Cape ta khwa ko ba a ko yau si ke eka khari ni ke khwen ada deba Namibia na Dutch ko ba china ora ka se kami ai bi kirin khwa khabetare na khotara kirina si ko ba ni ha aus ai khaisa o ke khari ni ai kandi kinari eat mai khyo ni si sara ko ba ba khoi ni ko ba ton dan khwa ko ba chang ka khun ke ai tus asa technology china o ising ha kari di kagas kai ke this is a one china nga khu south ai khabi ke no ai chicken ngadi engel sara influence counts ai kwana khabi ke no ai kap ai ko se ko se kwan yo kwan kare sa gen chichen kwan kare se kha ko bap tu be kiring se I ke nga khai di kire winga ko bap ne ha khaisa khabe ada miri khaba ai do kun asemi khaisa kova sarati ke nau Africa kova ku ne bana Namibia na gu thachi to beng Moscow kaisin musima sara kova ke de disi khoseng ang kuruguding am kompsi tam wa ku di chwa na idi kere kaing ame the most fast developing language in terms of publications Sepien Khoekhoegowab, Kaisi Greek Kanina, I think Nakiri, and Chimang. Khoekhoegowab, Nedarang, wow, Elop Misa, digital COVID, internet is China Hoka. Kadi, it's Midi Kanisa, dictionaries China. Ma Africa Kovaku neba, Namibia Naranhoika, and Haripkosisia. O Tai Hui, was ni Chungderas, Tang Hoaisa. Se itanemis ke ne tindi, le dura tindi. Aroma in Kika in le Kamkuna neva numa. In an aream time, Aroman, Kobab, 9% Wantamasa. Habetanemis ke. Sada ke nidi naman ang di ko tsika hangin akasin kadakini aikung itnaung ta ko babara ui si mi da ko sada ko bab ke op marka unwa ne teknologi ti kona gatai ga ase ne ba cellphone ku china sisin utsi hurung arode kuru ko bab nga de chinga ga net khwa ching haba ku Last Khoekhoegowab ay kung gay kagtawsa. Gubun hurung arode, ko na ngabakwana, lokasi ngas kagabi, ko si ngas kagang ang hasamang ui. Nanti Khoekhoegowab ni ay kung gay chang ui kuna.
Omdras ki saurang tinisinggung eramesa. Teknologi pa mati Khoekhoegowab ay kung sa witasa. Siku saurang tingi. Kabay tray ay tinis kaus ki kabas ki ma. Kovabaday amse Khoekhoegowab direct kaiba. Nama kovabat maba. Ngai kabas ki muso kakabadre. Tay aroma Khoekhoegowab di kai ba kobaba. Nama kobaki nga hiyo di karwase.
I want to answer this question in English. The question is, why is it called Khoekhoegowab? In the past, people only spoke about Namakovab. Now, the term Khoekhoegowab is total illusion. Dis nie waar nie. Dis geskiedkundig en taalkundig, linguistically and historically, it is distortion. Yes, once in the past, at a time, there existed a language called Khoekhoegowab. In the distant past, when the Stone Age people that roamed East Africa and Southern Africa kind of, let me say, broke into two groups. One that went over to pastoralism, starting to farm with livestock. They called themselves Khoekhoe. And the remaining one that still continued with their way of living as hunter-gatherers, they called themselves the San. And so the languages also, the one language that they spoke, separate along the two lines. At that time, a language called Khoekhoegowab evolved. And that time it was called Khoekhoegowab. Around, that was around 2,000 years ago when the pastoral revolution took place. Then around 100 AD, meaning just 100 years after the birth of Christ, the big Khoekhoe group broke into three groups, namely the Namakoen, the Ainikoen, and the Korana. And at that time, the original Khoekhoegowab also started to break into new languages, one of them being Namakovab. So the original Khoekhoegowab does not exist anymore. And along the lines as the tribes multiplied, due to splits that occurred, and moving to other parts, the languages also evolved. And from the original Khoekhoegowab, it gave birth to many other languages. Meaning, Namakovab is a child of Khoekhoegowab. But the original Khoekhoegowab does not exist. For example, if we take the Cham language, which was spoken in Eastern Cape, that language, it also today appears on the coat of arms of South Africa. That language is also, moet ek sê, afstammeling, descendant of the original Khoekhoegowab. But the Khoekhoegowab itself is non-existent. And it is wrong, historically and linguistically, to refer to this language as Khoekhoegowab. Yes, if we take, for example, Latin, it does not exist as a generally openly spoken language today. But it gave birth to other languages such as Portuguese, Spanish, French, and so on. It exists as a written language. And certain categories, or in some spheres, it is required that you must understand and speak. For example, to become a pope, you must be able to speak Latin. But generally, it does not exist among the communities as a spoken language. It is a written language. So the other issue also here is this language was named Khoekhoegowab after Namibia's independence. And that renaming took place at a meeting by the Nama Damara Curriculum Committee, whereby the late Damara priest, Pastor Eliphas Asep, proposed that the language should be named Khoekhoegowab to accommodate the Damara and the Haing Omsan that is also speaking a very similar language. And that decision was taken there and spread. No consultation with the indigenous leaders. In fact, does or did that committee have the mandate to rename a language? So there is, of course, a reverence, or the committee members stick to one reasoning why it should be renamed, besides to accommodate all the three tribes. The other reason was they quoted a letter that was written in 1878, I think. A letter was written by one Nama chief to another, and there was a sentence that says, so that is one sentence. I would like to see the whole letter as to understand why he mentioned Khoekhoegowab. But only that line is given. And I am opposing it for the simple reason. There are other sources, written sources, that clearly states that Khoekhoegowab and Namakowab are two different things. For example, when the 5 Oorlam Nama groups came over, one of them was the Khoekhoegowab of the Gobabus Leonardville area. The chief of that Nama community that came from South Africa, he could not speak Nama. He spoke one of the sister languages of Nama that was spoken in South Africa. And he had also a Khoi language. So he had a translator, Master Vleermuis, who translate from the other Khoi language to Namakowab. It is on historical records. Then you have also another historical record which dates back to 1677, when a Dutch ship was sent along the coast of Namibia to explore natural wealth. The ship Meerman arrived or docked around 20th November 1677. They came or brought with them, the Dutch brought with them Khoi people from South Africa as translators, should they meet the other group here. And in his journal, Captain Vopma wrote our Khoi, or not Khoi, our Hottentots communicated very difficultly with the other Hottentots. It's on record. So they could not speak. The languages were close. Here and there you will pick up, okay. But it was different languages. So Khoekhoegowab around 80 already stood as a distinctive language on its own. Therefore, this thing happened during our times. And it is our duty as the generation that live today to rectify that. It is our duty to rectify that. Now, why? I go back again to the point of political influence. It's involved. Yes, the Damara language, the language of the Damara called Khoekhoegowab and Khoekhoegowab are very close. They are very close. We understand each other. We will stand and speak to each other at the present times. But around 1940s, it was difficult for Nama and Damara to communicate. A Nama from the deep south and a Damara from the deep northwest. It was difficult for them to communicate. But what transpired that today we can fluently stand and speak to each other? The introduction of education, whereby many of the people here during the 1960s, 1970s will remember there was a book that was used. It was a series of books for all the grades. Khoekhoegowab. That book was forced down on the Damara people. And as a result, it is in the curriculum, they started to adapt their language in order to pass the Khoekhoegowab. And then in the late 1960s and early 1970s came in the radio. So the current language that we are speaking is not the real Khoekhoegowab. It's not the real Khoekhoegowab. Because the radio had to speak in such a way that both tribes or all tribes should understand. So the originality of the language has been damaged. So as a result, this happened. But coming with the political influence, what is wrong in an independent Namibia to talk about Khoekhoegowab and to talk about Khoekhoegowab and to talk about Khoekhoegowab? What is wrong? If you take Oshivambo and you have Oshikwanyama, Oshidonga, and it is on the curriculum of Namibian education, those people also understand one another. They have the same radio station, but yet on school level, they are treated as different. Go to the Kavangos, you will also find that scenario. Now why? That's why I say it's again the political influence or something of a discrimination or whatever, looking down on us. We have to rectify these things. It is our duty.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zakderkse, for taking us back well into history and articulated it so well. Just to add there, as the lecturer for Khoekhoegowab here at Southern Campus, it only does not disadvantage the tribe itself out there, but it's also like a mental trauma or emotional trauma working with a Damara student and a Nama student at the same time. Because we have this one book, the orthography. We all have to write according to those language rules and structures, but then they have the way they speak. And they also have their different dialects. So they would say Khwa, for example, referring to blue, and then the orthography would expect them to write as Khwa. So how challenging is that for them as well? And then it goes beyond that as well to national marking, where our learners' question papers in Khoekhoegowab are yet to be graded by Damara teachers up there. So then they have to grade Khoekhoegowab again, which sometimes we write as we speak, and that happens mostly with Khoekhoegowab. So this combination of bringing it as Khoekhoegowab still continues to disadvantage both groups on a very large scale. Because sada one the khunsinge ma khebra se ko ngai. Dideke hanu se in ekwain de baside sa khuni ere am have khwa khabe de ke ditan ngak khabe ngami se ngisi ngidi sra qing oi tsin amap ngastina ngidi sra khomai in the context. So ngarami Mr. Kimi ke se qesa ainsa khaba ha khuike ko va ba ira one Saladin is na netisko setsin isisko se noch patsa khuyao. Ke kankans.
Niro ita noch aron aba amai. Oike nidi school kungal ke ha oike king ting habe kune gratis string as citizen as ting habe ka toi hao utskera ting habe aimu ne ting habe ke tamarai kai khanya Tamasko ni ting habe ke namai kai khanya kobab session uya wa. Now, there is also another issue behind which the linguists are hiding, the definition of a language. Eket tundag met twee, I was traveling with two professors in linguistics. And I narrated this, what I just informed you also. The difference between Khoekhoegowab and Khoekhoegowab. And there is a difference between Khoekhoegowab and Khoekhoegowab. And they said to me, the definition for a language is, if you understand one another, then it is one language. It's just dialects that differ. And I said, so you are telling me Afrikaans and Dutch is the same? Because in 1989, when the United Nations Transition Assistance Group soldiers and police officers arrived from all over the country, world, in Namibia, we had the opportunity to meet the Dutch contingent. And they were speaking in Dutch to us, and we were understanding them and replying in Afrikaans. And they understood us. So now tell me, is it the same language? So, the United Nations Convention for Indigenous Languages, the objective thereof is to preserve, protect, and promote multilingualism. Meaning, the way the Damara speak should be preserved, developed. The same with the Nama. So, it is us that should rectify this situation. And I believe I, in the beginning, said that the term Khoekhoegowab is also pushing away some parents and learners to take the language. Thank you.
Okay, stop. So, Sauratins. Tadins and Nizisa, school wadaga ko, I close, Kidami, Minasax am schooly. Did I run as a Minasax am scholar, Khoekhoegowab scholiki, Muskin Nama scholiki. Did I get and scholar? Habibke, schooling neighbor. Man how? Poltanasa. Having no house. That one. So on is it things kabidige Afrikaans klate ne skole ngasa Khoekhoegowab klate kha kam Khoekhoegowab klat to de ma klas was pa ma tubis was ta ba ma khrats was ta ba ki kam Khoekhoegowab klat to da on is it things ki marida skol kun Khoekhoegowab ba kwana khwa ba kha marida ne ko ba kan si kha Okay. I'll do the ratings.
Okay. Ama ingengarigi I chingaske todas narogromin kaistora wasiuda. Tuan ke kabusase. Tamaske oro tuan kunjira Khoekhoegowab school kui u. Akoro todas namin tuin aromadi kan aromai hase. O nghĩ hùi kia tống ngào đặt cái sinh hay biết hành ngài Khoekhoegowab thì tống ngào đặt xin chê cái sự season là tôi mà nghĩ đã what mà đã nghĩ đã cái là cái sự season là tôi mà ngã cái si school đàn anh of khui cô bà bằng nông art mà khi ở đây nghĩ cô bị ngã khui vào đây ăn khăn đam chỉ cái ngã khu na khari quan là si đi qua chỉ cái khui na này khu na đang ngủ ô sai cái tiếng ngoài sa khơi cô bài ai cũng đi thì là si se khơi cô bà bà đại cái hóa sip nga ai bị turu mystery cái chỗ đó cũng mình tông sẽ ra chỗ đi o oms ai khabe hóa sip nga khadi ai bị ni thoa thoa giờ đó mi ngô vũ con isin hurun arotetis in khơi nam ui choma cô bài cái ni mang ngoài khu này technology thì khu one assistant utsi nubi cô bác ngang hurun asam ngang mi đan iskao ne chap ai bị ide jogo tik kubisna khol khotap ti goromin tebet sana sa goroti Mr. Hans ik heb gegooid sa zie dat je Jesu tik ngawis ti hurun as nama ko bap na tabay ha kana koyas isa kiri kauni class na chichi kiri mu madi uin para kan on kai se kubis nga idai ke kaunga aura kadi ta kwana kubis kha khwau bai con chỉ ni muốn ui lấy cho nên nền uen cái ngu ni khơi bà mà đi con người chỉ được ha thì ni cô muốn ui chỉ ni ngắt last nasi sa kaung nào đây chứ quá các cái gì xin xin con isikut si kaung ui khun si khara ka khun ra xin si in toan ngã câu ai cô bà khác căng đại ka
Okay, aro roda kan ngaba ngai khuike se khari se ngisera mosen khabeda didara khakha ke ton nga on sen ngadra tesa se au ige kova batsta huang ibet sta ang unsen kausing ngai khuna ke sera tura ke ansina kova bang hwa kausa so ne kova ke ngadis tina sausa onung ngabes khatskan huruba nga hasre se khabeng ngai ma uching hai se sna to be si se ama tamas kaits kameng hanut mase khomei osna se hwara kan ai basn sangama ba khu ngise so madits ngai khoi a hirre nga khakova ba turasaske sa paing uisen kau phuit sta khomeng abe satsta taunga outs ase ui chama se chikore ine africans oga I Khoekhoegowab ti literature ba ka khiyo africans ti twan ke khap nge ye khoyan khara khomei Sige ngatuan aroma anu khwasa khona khabe ige khwa khabe ku kowab diku Mr. Texabsina kholka hasep ku sada khwan ans aroma khwa khona kore khodan khwasa khokin haisen oin koi khoyan kharan khwa ama singe twana ra kain aresens tina hi kha khainda khonka si khomeinda khonka so ngis ya haske kowab ngadra twana kha khona anda ibetsi abstract si ngurore ama khabe antona kain aresen khatsi on the yang hwan nga season uida sadap ni sane kal tui kal ngasting am harep ti kal nga auda madits Khoekhoegowab kan harosa khwatsi Ivy Mark Krista ngan ki hi ani rosti ngoda kos madavas ngadi on the ama tuan an on the so kowab tui top kin aba kowab pas twat khaba in an khuna nga kha ure in da uin se korobeng hwan kha khware in da mo khun kha khware in khan sina khade tingre taren khadani khwa si taren khadani comedy so taunga auda ai ke sama bes ngak tesa se ka san ha khu ige kova ba twat si kha he ke gans
ne saura tinskido wa si prestinan rame kanausa
Karuba aurore.
Madin au kwenti wa si ba twana kau ka Khoekhoegowab kuasa.
Oms ai.
Madita sata, tai taniti. I sada di wana Khoekhoegowab hwa.
Ne bade ke mystery koro Krista di chinangwan on di camio o koronwan ai sada daba on di hiatara twana man daba kira ngaba chochori Sada ye kai se nau koin narang nong aba. Sige ne hurung andi nira ising karasi muidi ngara ngawing ondi. Si mang ay kain huru au ding ons. Chuko ngabak kain sen obai Khoekhoegowab ngang on sa toy ma. Ngabak sen ngira toy kwandi. Ngari ora banga on gutsim khoga serang ni toy di ke schooling ngadi ngoyara. Who do you want to get into Chingadi Kaitirami? Abang only. See, getting me, Planisa, saliva, tirami, me, and I. Oh, check twice to talk Nadika Kaiti me. Asked to say, Irake on Mastaba. Andua, night Kaisi say, hello, night Kaisi say, get wine, Namak wine. Only your mind, the mind. Hello. Saradi ngai kaisna I ke toai oni ke mai. Toai ke ons ke ngai. Toai ke ons ke ngai. Semar ting ons ke komachma chamasip diha. Komachma chamasip. Tis ke insa. So titanang ons ngasa chamasi. Timamas ungis ke ngasa. Tis ke insa Taruchma komacha, tidak miri. Oh ye automatisch naika akaba, chamasema komacha. Naikin ning onsa, naika ye arwechaba nang onsa ning osi. Chiste toasa kaba komachma chamasi, tirinsik naisi. Chicken agup ons tuisa kirika gayara misa. Torfano, kucing twin on scusa niwazi. Namang how nasi qua, see, tarik toati, wati, Khoekhoegowab wati, twin onsa. Habeke nisani, torast aroma, cape, aguma, karip tiramin ondi, agutka hawe, so, komachma, cape, chamasi. Diska habe. I nak kargisa say, notice, iagotians. Taina danitis diske amasing leido ko kobiska aba ko mie marida adi kai marida ngwasipka adi ka ko baba kau nasa si mesti kromin kais ni kubap tang huai kau ngap chin kai rang huru tai pit chanadi ko ne ba South Africa ti khosa ko ba ha Zulu ko ba venda ko ba ngarangai musik na amai Makati cicita iditska Sada tuan kira puru kase nga amde ngaisau ngaung asna niet makapesa woord voor woord precies terang ngaisau. Otai ni kobab nga kabang ngaisa. Amai. Si kobab ki sada kobab ki si Khoekhoegowab. Am si tani Khoekhoegowab audu.
Haru ba da kira auro. Sira ke zuk ngwato.
Amin hwada go.
Tingro tura tingka.
Kain cekang live tidak dok mere. Ngongkong ice namang ice ka tadi. Di dage konsep arti cover ting ona. Tiking skin lain ansai dage khabe dage ni sisa. Taung ngasti. Hong finan isa kai ka. Ti sia ko hais ke. Hari dage an sada di. Hukurun khadaga ko. Cina bakurat kainau. Oda kiram amai ngakun ke indi ko wap ngaraha wakun na ali jika auri di bako janjaban udah saceko sing amau odi kajara mucina ngaraha odi tingsi ada uri amai ske sarage tuisa khrat tuisa hu ngonas ko se sara di ko wap ngarama o saura tingsi aske madi ko ikasi ba ngahuwe khakasa hu mus kai be kai uiti kaisa sti di situ ngas kai uisa di ko da dok aibe Tingi ngas kan ngure kai kan.
Kai cekang aib. Tidak ke sharing kok ting ana. Ci nebas kido ting sago hai. Tai am sin kam koina kowab nga kai ke basine wanda maham. Ora ki kurung wang ai nasi kai ke basine wanda mai khabe hang ai kam koida ahasi dege khara koin ka hang ai ngasa se khara koin da di khuna di. Ting nasi ngas kha kowab di urung ai basin stabasi khadma ham arida go ka timas nga hayo o da ge ngaba go ngwe na makhweda tikoromi e ta inet na matwa Afrikaans ngwa of English ngwa ngadi go sera I khasing ngwa I di aye go ba iting ai tsing hong senga go ba nga dira ge go ngwe e ka timas nga so oda go dira means ke direge ne namang house dingisa sitaba ne aung di berege ha tri tswa o nga khwa ba ge ho tswa nama sisti kausi tiko baptista oda goro dinske oda rangling aung in evening aung di baha it's go bapti khwap di twing winsti kain kai basensa kham khwenda ba khiu tidra khaba ne kuri pune aung di ba towa o khaba ko ha kuri bang aung tai darati kham khwendi khaba wa khi tikau kopta ba le hui it's ma khwa ba sen klasa
kain karap didai je kain nga khasa go raqi ngasketi alditra autui khoi basa I khoing an maba go dira qhi khaisa didai ke a jenet a tsetsemo kulmani keti no fana khara ka gusira ke kai tshira ke namara taundi ke kai didai ke pe fuerbel khosa o phai ke kai tsip ke a khosa ho ba kiren nama ude kai se da kiren hausen type ka king ati ko ba ngai kha khabarit mahai tits konisisa sakos e waqi kwa ka kai kai sku seng ti mutni qaus kan arusio ora ke ne ba ko ba andap kan ha kus ke kai se kai sai kai kai pa ku ta ki gire kwana tip ke ko ba ngang abi Afrikaans mi moedertaal ko ba ke hai tida ke nga ko ba ke ubasin ti ngasta ko ba anda ke kai ai si ngwa e ha mai khabeda ke khomais ke akon sara ko ba nga khwa tui tau ku jera kha hap ti khip ti hap tinda ha o sata ngiri ngari kai hai khawa digremio de ke dira o da ke nga ha bara hod mai so ko bab che kai sin o waisa chi ko bai ke ans kha di hu kha hui ne da ke sin nga ko ba bang ano ne da ke ratira at nama ko aba I'm very proud to be a Nama speaking woman although the time that I've passed, we only speak Afrikaans because it was an enforced language. What we are trying to do now is to do away with that mental slavery to get real to yourself. Khairuro sedaketi umaros khakurung khwata. Nama go abaken khwat mai. No ni dida ka nama go ba khabigire e khan gister praat ek khan môre praat ek khan later praat maar die kere me bata ora gen hong kaip ka nga kwesa ke sing nga kwes ke khosan ta sing wa khabi aba ki nga ko bap ku bar ngwai South Africa nga khoi hwai ke di kong si ko ba bar ngwa nga ba khus ke house ke kwesa ra nama go ba ora gera buru madi ke how it's a interest that we are really making it with our own languages. As mang harubas enga dira kan wow nama go ba oje ko ni muta basin na ngali go da ba si nama go ngwa se kere ngwa kain hwa ro koisa ana ro koisi da mit ma ana ta ba ana khoi ngai ko re di hoi sa go ba nga toi khoi tin ngong a di di khabe onderwyser nan ke komaratsa the interest of the language is really broken, and we are now in an independent country. So we have to compete against the other languages. And the official language have taken over our homes. It's not only for the Nama, it's the Oshivambo people, it's the Oshiherero people, it's everybody that is just not speaking the other languages. What we should do is we have to promote the language. Ada promote to Zaire, Kobaba. ga di kote ke gore a o qeqao qaitsis
Evita respond. Urutan saya nak keren aram.
Kaisi kai kan tidak mere. Ons ke kapia halenge diama. Janiale dikira kaunga Khoekhoegowab halenge. Yes. Okay, kaisi da ka hudi diama tam huron tuin. Turos ke Mr. Josobi ke curriculum ha huron hoam. Chidage sidanya rakabing hari ai khada. Ngakom si robara hong ton ngana sing based university kuka pan ton nin ke tidak ke channel ida ba tidak ke channel ba technician app china wa chip ke ne technician aba curriculum ye IS level ye si uchi tamaha teach ke fak ku yat unha ku han aromaya se IS tabasi dama Khabe ki toy Khoekhoegowab nga kai seti technique fa ku nga kai seti ti chi slahi go khabe University of Namibia ka I kha tamaha Khoekhoegowab ai unha ya ama chi ki ne toy che unis ai nia institution ni oasi khoyauske Talk Mr. Josobi China auna toana ho khada masa ngas ke tuisa nausia ske madidani toana hiri ngata mas kayo madidani kobaba khain ditaba tamguri haroba digi ngama chipke nga haroba cell phone khap ka hao ko melen direct kai husera ko chipke nga khoiba neches ain an A is for apple di chip ke khoiba naiche amas hab kre mai rusain bai o pep ke khai of nga pabis hoi ke khai khabeb king bang an pabis ipta sain bai khaisa op ke khoiba ngongchi pa is for papis tigre ngongchi ngai ngas krang ai ba sen khoib nep ke ko master mista chwa letters ke turu ramindi so o Khoekhoegowab nga daga nga khurona di khao os china ki nga Khoekhoegowab ni omkhai ngabas ko sekui kaisi kai kan
Goedenamiddag aan jullie allemaal. Ik is Serafina Angwe, onderwijzeres. Maar een paar jaar terug al in de klaskamerat. Ik is werkzaam bij de regional officer in Keetmanshoop. Ik ga net zo samenvatting geven van alles wat hier rond was. Maar om te beginnen met de laatste vraag. Wat kan ons als een gemeenschap doen om die taal te laten voortleven? Ik is een product van wat vroeger genoemd was, wat een Afrikaanse is groot geworden. Niet omdat mijn ma het zo wou gehad het, maar omdat zij ook een Afrikaanse is groot geworden. Deels is part of apartheid, zal ik zeggen. Maar wat uitgestaan heeft voor mij is, ik heb in die taal belang gesteld. So wat ook al je omstandigheden is, hoekom je die taal kan machtig vandaag niet. Dat begint met die belangstelling. So wat doen ons als gemeenschap om belangstelling aan ons kinders te brengen? Ik kan van mij zo'n voorbeeld gebruiken. Hier sta ik vandaag, hier is mijn 2 dochters. Ik probeer hulle in dingen wat die nama cultuur bevat, in de sluit van een jong ouderdom. Nee, niet net die type van goedie, maar oor die algemeen wat cultuur en taal aanbetreft. So dat is wat ons als een gemeenschap kan doen. Kweek die belangstelling bij die kinders in een baie jong ouderdom en dat hulle met dat groot wordt. Dat hulle niet vergeet waar hulle vandaan kom nie. Dan op daardie manier zal ons die taal laat vooruit leef. En dan being cognizant of what was said, I think what we need as a number person is some sort of psychosocial intervention. Because many Nama persons are not really proud of who and what they are, of what the Nama as a person represents.
This is due to many factors. We can name them. Politically, yes, I would say. So as ons begin om die persoon as 'n nama trots te maak, dan gaan ons trots wees op onze kultuur, op onze taal, op enige iets wat met 'n nama geassosieer kan word. So I think what we need is a psychosocial intervention of some sort, starting as young as we can. Because it is a fact that die ouer mense het nie meer krag om met dinge te spook nie. Nee? Ty al wil hulle dit baie graag doen, hulle het nie altyd die means en die krag om te doen nie, maar ons van die produktiewe ouderdom mense het alles to our expense om hierdie ding te kan doen. En ons moet nie in isolation werk nie. Daar is verskillende stakeholders wat gebruik kan word en gebruik moet word. Ons kan nie as education alleen 'n ding doen nie. Ons moet onze cultural experts in ag neem. Ons moet onze businessmense in ag neem. Because at the end of the day, you can empower a person as much as you want to. But if there's no financial emancipation, then it will mean nothing to whoever and whatsoever. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Kafri, why can't we have the mother tongue instruction as from grade 4 to 7 as well, and then at a later stage, grade 8 to 9 or 10 to AS? First of all, that starts with a great curriculum loophole, and curriculum I wish and I hope that it was something that could happen overnight, and it was something that could be tested overnight, or is something that could be tested within a year or within 2 years. But first of all, it's the curriculum panel that we have to challenge in that regard. And for that, we have a curriculum committee or members that are representing us from the Nama community, or as Khoekhoegowab experts or as teachers in the committee. So in Ganglabanglang Abat ma iyo. Si Tsakhat man ha didegemi da mahama. Khabeske tongusa ebekuro mabani tswatswa. Because now we have to hanup tiniknik na khatsi oron ngayam hanup diskomo maris tinikere ama. The finances that comes with implementing a curriculum. Sining ngaba khutkhadi resources and destina mibada. Ngadi resources ngenochba nisiskose akhai damasken ngadi ko kwensina nochba khakhan unisat makowap nga aitlose tideke ne dang out who say veskende pra arisorai ha kore arisora te ha faka digrami ama kai basna da hit ma khabe da ke kowap nga akai sing ibang on tera hi onesisa ngai khon genesis oda genesis ani khoi kowap nga kai se kai unsen kha ebituro seni ho kova bang hwa khai kova ba khome khai kova barang ngawon ai ne khwetse amsi etlose veskende ba khakha sikuda kinisi sara kharu sila ke khoi kha se ba kova nga unwa nya geography answer unwa eni ho neske a inwa tineke mit ma Mr. Khabedegnet ma sip iseng aromadi Mr. Mogoti o madikun ngu se dang nisema damaske on didiko khwesin nga khada masba khabe nedige kwang ode hiada saumai khade etlose da ke yunami bastina. And this is the part where it gets so interesting. The curriculum is aligned in such a way that the Khoekhoegowab or Afrikaans or Oshiherero or Setswana, Chunghuan and so on, those students only get that indigenous language or that Afrikaans, for example, or the indigenous language Khoekhoegowab as a language during the studies at university. And then they get the rest of the subjects, which is mathematics, which is environmental studies, which is numeracy and all those things. Then they have to go back to the school curriculum, and then they are expected to go teach that content that they were taught at the university in English in the indigenous language. So there is also the challenge and the greatest interesting, as I would put it, a loophole that we are sitting with. So basically, it's a curriculum challenge that we are seated here with. And also, as I've said, in terms of resources and financial and all those things, but mostly it's a curriculum challenge, and that would be the greatest challenge for us to get there. But as my fellow panelists has alluded earlier, it would be so great, as some countries have it, to have your education up until AS, and then we can perhaps talk about results that we will get from those. So I hope I partially of the tsada ko sa ting sa. Khare se kwes ka khabeng ere am sa semester. Okay.
Ngaya taup nga khu English ya hobe kap ke Marisa. Eindelijk iets 99 uit 100 aan mijn kring. Han ook maar die goede man wat kai. Marisi masikuchi khunara kai se. Khabera ka dida meste dersda se ne che maru ko maljun ku thangnu. Ore ke di deng khwasai skolara mai Khoekhoegowab nga wa fa ko ara khakai. So Mariska house ki ngasa. So privaat school gu gaat dat je niet naast een zien er mi Duitsland niet is het een naam na mama dat we am gewoon naar een Hawaii school hanka naar een mari gewoon naar een au kuikao o je privaat school kun naar ka die daar een nee ja goed hier Mr. Heiling heb ik ook kasa keis ki nisip Namibia hanung ba skol kun nga unga thak thak kai khai tat ke kasi onara ka khanwa udai kia Afrika hanung guti tawe ngai khonjini kare se ha khonjini ta ai kun iku nga tau tha tikto se kai ba khoin ai unga ka ti trami bas ke Saraging an gratis na uitkous as jy maar die kot chung jy ha kaisa. Kurip waban jy kaodo. Kurip waba disi koron an wa disi gratin tswana straat wat jy sien. 1995 kuribahu. Dit se kwa skera 350,000 tswan jy straat ku jy sien. Taking aroma is de grek kakiko. Hanup grat els titwals na tani kadidi ni twana o king abe griti indi ban kwa. Namibia the constitution wat kasik o king ngabang na mia disingani a kuruku kose ke twai ni taunga skolinga hadi. Gabets grat 12 stadstin karuskao o 18 kuruku karase grat 12 nuya tai limitation in the constitution narrative. So tip yung aking hanuban ngari constitution kai kai ching ngadi di tip andwa warayi huske kosefa ke twana ai kausa sit kung kai gratis na. Khabe kuren ngani ku tuken se chestams kai tai habasa si ke nang mona vakati isti ne khunken hanup kiring aroma twani ngau kaisa hanup kiring abi khuki. On je minister Abraham Jam op je kaga swab heb je iba. Wan ngazadi chike hong ui Namibia naga ne 15,000 ton era kuru aba ahuin. Din kauba Maria oresa hobai ka. 15,000 ton at ka ter ton at last na uma ore je 500 klas kamer die extra ngaba. Tide ge kau ngau ngaba. 500 kau ngau na extra si. Nidi imun über die tip je je minister Abraham Jamo ba uitkous as hy ngang ni minister se ha koro kurukun nabi ma kuru ba 100 lati om di kimi. Tsike khadi kini kwan kau ngau ni ang si khakasin sawan pa se mara kau na somar training chochoa. Tsike grade 1 to 3 stva gak khase ki chochoa. Minister Katrina ansas oi kesting aikna. Tsike Kuro 100 lari kiomi, kabe king hong sini minister rawara ni cikai. Ciking ngaku ngai ke ma ba ma. Ngaku ka din ai ha je oi ke ka no kom si ba ore sau ba ya. Kabe ra gini khari ki ko ba ni. On ni si ha IS hui ni ke na khai. Ngai ke ni kau asa so ko ka khau ba. Twana hingakas. Twan ti to hang ai ba hingakasa. IS twa ka tas ke ngona se di skini ua kharu khachika. Ai esa dis karwachini ngona se di ni fucking ngwa chingach ku se di hon nga fak ku tsuki a karuka se da mas kayu kabi so taira Tidak ke ngap kromis terailing ke bami kami ke tuai Khoekhoegowab asal Engels asal. Cik ini tuai kaka nau faku ngati te kuhu. Ots ka koro faku I tuau ngona ti ke a disi koron a tuai tam ara ke disi hakan ojen ngak tuai tam disi kuseng ai hwa. Nau tuai ke ngona faku ngase de ho. Tinau ku ngai yude ko ho. Ojen ek tuai ni si krat ai esi. Ngona faku kada ni disi tuai. Sai ne ho da gini tari kunda aseng hua se kira se kainchini mangwa. Ne kaisi tari aroma yunami taban kaiseng orotwana rasisa ni sapke yunama ngai hu ko ngas ke breaching cost rami hui intwana hui ngai kaka. Se ne ko ngaga IS system ke huba comes di hui kira kiri mangwa. Khabe wa kris aroma ta ke tari Mr. Rami tak kasatis kiri kurang asing huat ngagas ngasasna tak kasogomi. Sara ko bai ke Khoas tawasa kana ko bai. Khoasas ki tuisa. Khoasas ki tuisa. Ti ko bab ki khabi ke ngakhwin nisi Afrikaans ke tung sik ko baba wataman khabera ko baba hoan aromare ki kain hoa hewa. NAST, Namibia University of Science and Technology, NAPke short course jam karing ap kuriti narak na kau Khoekhoegowab Khoas chikomis aroma. Tadi kan huye ko ha. Tidak ning ngara ke ngakorobe soan ai South Africa karak nari. Nari I hungtuisnya Karas Karib di Northern Cape Province di Kanuka kakwa kawe haswa I kabatra sibas ke koina kobaba komisa kakasa ne konde nena ngai kakasan chakrat kongwe koina Afrikaansa float se khwa tsera komi koina tsere kere nga koina ti khodo cham ir khnga Khoekhoegowab komisa kakka chinjera di ho se ne kap ching einsatz ka hui ngui chi hui ya di ho ka khabe Ang kau kejening ang di groups WhatsApp groups se suara sadegi nabai ke ting habing erem tuan ke khwain am ari towa ko ka de kireu ke min wa isi kung awa sti ke kaing no mensi photo sa ko chi ke okha khome witer ni tarik mas khwa khui di kere mi chi ke nga khu ngarik ke sa tabari ki kriu kan est aroma di ramis lan est ya mis twa ke khwa sai ha
Ik ken niet Engels, Afrikaans, maar namani. Ik is een Namibianer, nee. Mijn naam is Liana. En ik zeg ik is een Namibianer, van ik probeer alle talen praten wat in Namibië is. Of verstaan. Al kan ik dat niet vlot praten, nie, ik zal dat hakkel praten. Van ik geloof in identity. En die Antie heeft toch iets bij je mooi genoemd, wat toen die professor praat over die geschiedenis van Khoekhoegowab. Als ons tussen die Khoekhoe mensen beweegt, zoals ik wat hou van geschiedenis, zal een mens die distinction krijgen tussen hoe die mensen van Karas van die zijde praat, hoe die van die westen praat, daar is die distinction. Je moet net luisteren. En ja, so it actually comes back when I was thinking about this yesterday already when we were celebrating doing the genocide remembrance, and we had a whole conversation around the Nama and Ovaherero genocide that happened, okay? And with that, generational trauma. So many times we don't look at the psychological effects identity has on us. And language is identity. Dus onze afstammeling is onze wortel. Dus wat voor ons maakt wie ons is. Of ik Herero sprekend is, of ik Afrikaans sprekend is, of ik Nama sprekend is. Dat begint daar. No, when this is not addressed at a psychological level, like the intergenerational trauma that happened, and the bonds that are being broken, Dit wat onze voorouders gepraat het, wat was die cultuur, wat was die traditie, wat afgestuur is, hoe was die taal gepraat, hy trots. Hulle sê mos soms die Herero se trots as hulle praat. Hulle sal by jou kom en met jou Herero taal praat, want as hy trots. En halfpad as ons kyk met Western or Eurocentric, dan is dit, speak English, I don't understand. Hoekom kan ek nie? Ons verstaan mos mekaar. Halfpad sal ons mos toch mekaar verstaan as ons Namibianers is. Ek hoef nie vir jou in jou taal te antwoord, maar ek kan sê, oké, praat klaar. Ek het dit nie so mooi geverstaan nie, kan jy dit afbreek, want ek het nie hierdie hele gesprek mooi geverstaan nie, maar ek het geverstaan. Why? The interest. And with the youth, as ons praat van die sielkundige afbrekend, nee, die jeug, daar is that psychological aspect of it, that bond somewhere was broken. So it's about, dis ook oor ons om te sê, ek is nama Tamara, of ek is Tamara, of ek is nama, en dis my taal. En kom ek praat het, en die volgende persoon sal geïnteresseerd is daarin. En die volgende persoon sal wel verstaan. So as ons when such events are taking place, it is necessary that we really look at the mental health aspect thereof. Die Andy het reg opgetel. Psychologically, we are still living in what happened to our grandparents, our forefathers, and now with that identity of, I don't want to be associated to this because of stereotypes that are placed on the language of certain tribes. You want to disassociate yourself with it. And we have to start fixing that first. We have to start healing ourselves as our cultures, as the identity that we find ourselves in, whether it's Nama, Tamara, Khoekhoegowab, Herero. We have to first try and heal that. And look at how does that affect the spiritual aspect of this person and their identity. And how do we then carry it forward? Because you can't have the conversation with the youth or with the elders alone without bringing the two together and carrying it forward.
Kaintes, tidak je, toch tidak Ruben Friedrich di mana. Kais tajara ayun ni ngwas ngada kut ngah kasa. Tidak jera koka amma bisna ma komi hu dat koka di madit min kai dan u. Hu jeda neti ting arop kiba min situare. Ngap je. Aldi dida nau ai ka hu ha komsip. Je ni protect, promote and preserve. Die means ni pada ko kahan ngas di tuba sangsa. Tai ega ha ni ko baba ni nama ko baba protect protection ni kai promote king ni si ha kha chi king na protection ni kai amaga preserve chinara osta khawa ra khawa na huiding hanip kada je ha Tai soort wet ngoai. Ja, kore sadak an o demokratische groep ngada ha kai. Khabe da kum thadi an o demokrasis je demokrasi tamaha autokrasi siting aru ka kana ha mayo. Hukas na demokrasi thadi de. O chinga sa no ni di kap abi kabibi ma. Democracy without autocracy is kap abi kabibima. Is wetteloosheid. Is wetteloosheid. Tidagi ngakas karma tai arma kui ega of instansie ega kai. Tony vir die beswil van die mense. Vir die beswil vir die taal. Cinga ni tal di drami udah muka nga karo kasi tuwi kuna nga kultur kuci tai cinga kuna nga kolka hukum tal di skomio uga thai institution ngwa taringa ni ida nama khoida khara kobakunga si hwa ka si da di wana sa ngadi go ka khai ti ke ada mar ngadi ku ting chi khuri ai be kai si toi go na dran khwa ka go je kai si kai ayos.
Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Nicodemus Cooper. I'm from Botswana. Apologies. I know I don't have to apologize, but I came late. And usually when you come late, you miss the context when the subject matter has been, shared with everybody. But nevertheless, whatever time you join a discussion as important as this one, you catch up with it, irrespective, if it's really something embedded in the deepest of your heart. But here, I know, I've never doubted that the Nama people in Namibia are doing the best that they can to protect, promote, and preserve this language. Perhaps not enough. And of course, as citizens, we need to try at local level. But there are times that we need to try the regional and the international. But then we need to also understand our countries, which conventions they have signed. Because if we understand the conventions that our countries have signed, then we know they have an obligation. And for us, it becomes easier to pursue and follow it up to say, but here is a convention as a country you have signed to protect your people, because as we speak heritage, culture, and language, these are human rights issues. So I want to mention one convention. It's an ILO Convention 169, also known as Indigenous and Tribal Peoples Convention of 1989. Namibia is one of the signatories. I'm mentioning this because the key aspect of it is the convention is legally binding. But when our countries sign these conventions, there is a technicality in the sense that when they come back, they don't ratify. And when they don't ratify the convention, that means it's not binding. But for them just to sign it, that's a good thing because they have good intentions. When they signed these conventions, it's because they had the understanding, because there is an international convention that speaks to human rights, and language is not separated from culture and heritage and identity. So perhaps we need to explore this, perhaps as one of the recommendations that the organizers should take, not only for us to maybe advance challenges, but also to bring possible solutions. Thank you.
Khoekhoegowab Tsinangwa and then in Afrikaans and Engels, as it alright is. Yeah, so my name is Ambrosius Ngako. I'm really grateful to be part of this and have a moment and listen carefully to so much insight and wisdom with regard to our Nama language. Now, of course, there are a few issues, and I greatly concur with many contributions that were made. Ekdang ko dagao netse saradi uyapna tik kam kwendi kwang uigu nizinda kam kwena face dachna dach. You can tell that we are exposed to so many things that really shifts our paradigm. And it can do many things to us as human beings. There was something said about promotion, and I want to say something about it a little bit. If we look at sort of the effect of media, now we can talk about the different dimensions of media. Let's say, for example, just mass media. Let's take social media. All of that, if you take that into context and the effect of it, number one effect is that it creates a narrative, okay? It also creates a paradigm for the consumer, okay? Now, why is it that me, Di Nama Akhada, all of a sudden, Tadida Ngisa Siba Wadma, Di Nama Kwesis Na, Di Khoekhoegowab Naza. Why? Because the media which I am exposed to glamorizes a language like this language that I'm speaking to you. And somebody else, just as it was said earlier, that the Nama people probably, because of the way we speak, it's easier to have, sort of a soft, a hearing when we speak English. The klank bietjie beter vir baie mense. And it's not something that really we have to take pride into. But fortunately or unfortunately, that is the case. So ek dink, the promotion part is key, because any person, and mass media, all those, medias and all those, they know what they are doing. It's propaganda, propagation. What is it that we want? Let's push this narrative forward. Now, the same we can use to our benefit as Nama people. That we push a narrative, create platforms, just like Mr. Dirkse was alluding earlier. That we go and create our own narratives and paradigms. Why? Because everyone can go only as far as your mind takes you. So if we begin to glamorize our own, like we are doing with the annual Nama Festival, which is really doing great in terms of keeping that alive, so that we at least know this is where we come from. For at least once in a year, we can be proud of, putting on the traditional attire and all of that. So I think going forward, as far as globalization is concerned, there's not a lot we can do about it. Just like Mr. Joseph was saying, like honestly, there is a change taking place, and there will be some adaptability that we need to adapt. As much as we are proud and we want to push forward with our language, we are still challenged, and we will still take on other languages to make do in life and get somewhere. I submit. Thank you, sir.
Well, like they say, all good things come to an end.
Yes, but before we close, Mr. DC would like to add.
Yes, I cannot let this part go because I have to ego it to discredit the narrative of the fact that the language is dying. Ek moet dit noem, kyk dit moet insink en gaan noem ama. So I just want to reiterate that with UNAM, I'm going home now, Vanek. UNAM maka kovaba. They are there for the language. Nedrang ngaunting the sokome yunerami, nedra ngaun narrative teaching kovab krang what's in Landage, kain aretic and Krebasane Watma. Amaka twinke in a ngadi. Kosestina ke ang ha main campus it ke Khoekhoegowab ba ke kha nitse la ke koma south campus it Christina ngwa ti southern campus it Christina ngwa diploma go ke wa khabes ke ngasang amt maha ama yunamitsin ke ang aha tidatsin ase da ke sidatsina short course from era season go up ding wa ona khwap tsi wa ngai kha khoma ba kha hanung ise tsam semester ngani nga se khwara ka khon ka qobu itwa o tsines ngauda ke khadi qaungas Christina, Khoekhoegowab program ka yunami daba uha tsila ke khadi Bachelor of Arts tirami programming nga ustina ke khona main campus daba kovaba se a khasen kha. So unda ke ha kovaba ha a kovab ke khait ma itma kovab ke tsida ke ama besna kwap tsina uwa tsinge khona ra khwa kasen khogeda Utsa singa ha ka kwang uidika ha khabe nga kuruturo se mi ese ning asa curriculum mi khak khap ke ama se. It's beyond us to good beyond Towan Tabikastina ha. Tige again last tra, Habi Ada, Gutati Langa ha a Huisadadi, Ada Hudi, Ida, Tai a Huid in Hawaii ha a Govab Hoki, Unami da Bastina. Did good get okrotom gauto.
Okay, I'm saying the enemies can never get thing or Tai ima, Kayao, how thing ye. Noinka noy ka khai ko bara khauba haun hausa kia sara ge ning hupna me bi apna kaise insan hanugu a unwa ching hanuma di mang uinge di unwa khabe sisin ui pya komsi o toro se I ke article 19 sarang hupti hun hanuti na king apon apoi ha Tisking man hun hanuba sada kowaba a rakauba. Amai. Kun hanu di artikel in dienst hier hau nasi bats ka kaisla sara meet ke na kaisara abu bada khabe ha komsip ke ba kaisi da ke sata ngong aha koi kaisi ke ngong aha va sitar ni mi khun ke ha khoye ada ngong aha nama kau gun nanske nan harib ya va stimistit ba sini sini Namibia kanu khar beali asera mungwe kai khu hiap ta mi china kai dama khabe sara khoida nama khoida ding eriams ke sara ko baba khauba khatisa sara gini khauba bi chimi za chang hoi kat ka si sa ko bab na bang wa khabi ni tar ngwa pya nama ko ba so sara gini khauba chi sara gini uin bi chidani ma haisi amske kon katanin wa satu ubasen I thari tanin wa ske season I thasiguke ni kobab ta ha tara korong ngai em ami se kobab khatske season kunga ka chige ase timis ai kui kwa kaunga aunaning habasa kobab na sara ringwana di ternama kobauna Mibari, nisi cukup mereka kobab ngai ni kasa. Ngai tuan jesi kausen si nisi ti karak waktu Afrikaans kelas na si kere ti tuanan hona. Nisi rak thakasen kau nama kobaba sisi niam si. Kuye ada tuanan kau na nang na Mr. Paulus hailenge ba. Napjeng nabe au ba. Umu orang nabe ke. Kabe gini bang guys kai. Ci khrat twist na Khoekhoegowab chochoba chini ci Khoekhoegowab nong nau singwa ba o tai akumsi ada ngak khaisa taning uire tirai ke ne kurip nga khusagoti khrat khaisa ston Khoekhoegowab uan je tiskuli ge singoro chige rooster chin ani komsi ode ke ngak kam klara hia Khoekhoegowab uarang ngasi Nasi, Khoekhoegowab uang tuan amagai, singlas kakak ina okay, nengwak tuan ngatai na nama kobabaran hoa, kabe Afrikan semua oke warakan kai segi kain, lagi orang gini, wah sisi satu mana miba, khrat kaisas nat sira Khoekhoegowab kecotodi, ganzen si ikwakri, tidak keseda Afrika kekunci koin. Kwan was ka sai na khwas khomi sarak thak ta chinjira khwas khomi so puru khuna da di uchi khaji tike nau ko bistva sin chi khas ke mi haus ase inje mona kai khununa I Mr. Dersup ko demi ibat kom ka mi chiki kobab ka I chi kobaba unwa distike khratin na tuit masa unwa afrikan sa unwa sa lat mas chi ro tiam de ida ko semester 3 minggu Khoekhoegowab khatasi is Afrikaans goed konga ora yo kami sama sa se ebe sa kai kun kasing hoar de kom suan menau harang umutan koreng harisi si balai charlesti waski chite ki kin hau ka khusa chimbi kin hoa chis kin lak monsa Afrikaans katabas Afrikaans ho Khoekhoegowab katabas trama se tira ora I Tara chuhun ba tui tikwa. Tara chuhun ba tui tira ora I tikwa. Koiste kame au ba uci tira ora I direkwa. Tari chuhui ka. O kabe tai hun ba ada tikwa tira ora I di. Tidak toh ba miri. Sing like those ai ada neka chotwan this is a short course ci hun nga au kasen. Ada kobaba. Kore ada kobaba khwa ci khomai. Kai kan.
Last kali toch ni programming unisibukki. Sedeki ningwa apa kan streaming kau. Thank you for showing up and
great ones. Na ra wakasi tuana. Nama bawarang bang kanaba. Afrika sekarang koi. Naran kong kyal ichi nechi. Afrika sekarang. Tuai. Nama bawarang ini tiba. Nasa. de demokrasi sti unen ose potu tira protect ka promote ka preserve. Ida kira monte some.
Very true.
University level han kada Yoruba the great ones.
Chwa sa. Kau bahu.
Antara chua. Antara compare.
Mr. Oh, okay.
It's a statement, not a question.
Oh, it's a statement. Okay.
Ero Jennifer. Sam di oangas di tinti kumone dio.
Oh, yeah, as well.
So Mr. Dizzy, sarung answer ngapa modal korire as a reference.
Sila toch kau stik long mau da se horen aroto. Of ragoe mi kau o I am pleading with the community as a whole. Khoa ka dagasio ma ko esa mira mi kama. Andugia Khoekhoegowab te kiran khoa. Khabe do ke sado oi kamati Afrikaans ngarasi khoika. Ti ke kau sa huda ka tswa o khida si tswa re. Let's start at home. Let's not look elsewhere. Let's not point fingers. Khabe khida tswa kau sa ho. And let's encourage wa sada Khoekhoegowab te ko minkla khabe nama kobab waran khoa khoina. Ngisa se ti khoa se pain uni sensa sada kobab nga. Tao goed my geto. Nee, kobab het lobe ik ga kobab. Okay, laat kyk kan toch.
Nee ke belofte max geld tira na my hui. Ore ke nei aan kai se kai bet chanas je tira kai se ko ni geniete. Goeie tarak taisa. Abe mas kama isa. Goeie. Itira mi ti Khoekhoegowab. Ti Khoekhoegowab ta khoi man it's nairan ngoi. Ta sa kaisa khutoi sang op jing awa koi. Ta da ka sat sang hui sats ati ku koi. Man ni tuits ka koi tim mabak tu si koi. Khabe kom si ku khats ni hui. Ke kom si ku kais ai oe it's u charo nak toi tik to re wang oi. Ots ni dan di koi nga kha khuno koko. Itu satu man masih gua koko onor koi kan si koko ni mas kuni bat ni koko lega cita ni koko lega satu tengongo ting apa saya kau di koi kuno koko itu satu man
Thank you very much. Let us give them a round of applause. Wonderful.